Join us, lifelong friends and psychotherapists Sarah and Emma, on the Unknot Your Future Self podcast, where we talk all things personal development, psychology and well-being. We share some of life's brutal truths and show you how to use your challenging experiences to grow and show up as the best version of yourself. So today's show is sponsored by About the Town. About the Town is a local publication in the northwest covering the areas of Skelmersdale, Ormskirk and surrounding areas. About the Town is a community interest company which brings the heart of the community together to work and deliver projects as well as news and information about the locality. The director is passionate about the area and wants to make sure that those who live here and within the surrounding areas feel that they are connected, and as the only publication in the northwest that does that, About the Town is sure to have something for you. So check out the issues. They come out quarterly, and check out some of the projects that they have going, because they're an amazing organisation and they look after the people who live in their community. Welcome to the Unknot Your Future Self podcast with me, Emma.
And me, Sarah.
And join us today in episode 2 as we talk about fun and why laughter really is the best medicine. Hello, Sarah Baker.
Hello, Emma Lawton. Emma Sue is what I call you.
Emma Sue, that's my name. Well, today we're talking about fun and why laughter really is the best medicine. And before we start, I want to kind of give listeners a definition of fun, because I know that there's people out there that are going to say things like they like running and fun is running, right? And I'm not sure that this descriptor actually covers that. So the definition of fun is enjoyment, amusement or light-hearted pleasure.
Okay, light-hearted pleasure.
So my question to you is, you know, when we do our work, so as a coach and as a therapist, I have found that, like, when I ask what people are doing, if they're having fun or they're coming and they're quite miserable or upset about stuff, and I mean that in the best way, normally when I kind of explore things with them, we get right to the nitty-gritty and they're not having fun.
Yeah.
And I wonder, is that your experience of your clients and your life? And have you got any personal reflections of that?
Yeah, I think that's completely true. I think a lot of the people we're working with, a lot of them have got depression. Mm-hmm. And usually when you're feeling depressed, you lose the ability to have fun. You know, you don't find fun in things anymore. And I think if that's the way you're feeling, it's, first of all, I empathise with that, and I've experienced that myself on a number of occasions. But it is really important then, as we speak about, you know, what we've spoken about before, to find the people who you feel most comfortable with and safest with, and try and encourage yourself to find things to laugh at. Yeah. You know, I think it's so important. And my experience is, to be honest, for me, you know, I tend to like escapism quite a lot. So even when I'm feeling down in the dumps, I use dance floors and music and laughing with friends as my way to keep going. It's one of my coping strategies. I need that to cope, you know? Yeah. So for me, I find fun and laughter is a big part of my life. Yeah. Because it's what keeps me going. It's
really interesting, isn't it? Because I absolutely love humour and I absolutely love fun. But I think it's so subjective. And I think that the people that you do that with are very, very kind of variable, aren't they? So some people think I'm the miserablest shit face they've ever seen on God's earth. Whereas look, so you think it's funny.
So it's the foghorns out, guys.
You think it's funny. And it's almost strange, because then when you're around people who think you're funny and you say different things, I think it eggs you on and makes you more likely to laugh. And I think what I've learnt being your friend over the years is there have been times in my life where I was just a miserable cunt. And to be honest, I'm not exactly excitable now. do like to enjoy myself, but I've got a funny individual sense of humour and an individual thing. And I think that, we've spoke about it in the past, and I think what I've developed, well, first of all, what I understand is when you've been a professional now, I've done roles, I'm a social worker, I am a therapist, and I think some of that training beats the humour out of you, and kind of, especially when you're working with vulnerable people, it can feel like it's a difficult world, right?
Yeah.
And I think what I've realised is once I was able to take my professional hat off and do something like this or be with certain people, actually I am quite funny and quite humorous.
Yeah.
And I can laugh at myself more.
Yes.
I
think that's the key, laughing at yourself. Not a lot of people are able to do that.
Yeah.
And, you just triggered a thought in me then. When, so a lot of the things in life I've gone through, I've used humour as a way of coping.
Yeah.
Really dark humour sometimes, that you couldn't possibly say on a podcast, but, or you could maybe. And as I say, it's one of my coping strategies to laugh and to almost disconnect from life and just be in the moment. Which I find is a great coping strategy to have. And I remember when we first started training in university, and we used to have to do our personal development group, didn't we?
Yeah.
And, there was a lot of unique individuals. We're all different, come from different backgrounds, different places, seen life differently. And as I think I don't know if we've mentioned before, obviously with me being from Liverpool, we use humour, we use banter, we have jokes as a day-to-day just way of living.
Whereas I'm from Hull and miserable and dark. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm just, a little bit. No, joking. So anyway, we're in our personal development group, and I'd proper go there. I felt like I'd bare my soul. I'd really give a lot of myself. But then it could quite easily go into the break room afterwards and buzz off something and laugh at something.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, do you ever remember the day where we had to do almost like a speed dating, where we had to tell each other what we thought of each other? Do you remember that?
No.
Well, this one person who, I don't know, maybe I triggered them in some way, said to me, I think you're fake. I just can't take you. And you just laugh at everything. So you just don't take anything seriously.
Wow.
Yeah. And your laughter's just fake kind of thing. It wasn't those exact words, but that was what I interpreted what that person said. And I'd just literally been really vulnerable in our group, and I'd give a lot of myself. I don't even remember, I struggled to cry in front of people.
Yeah, because, I do remember that.
Yeah, for the first year and a half, I'd just be there waiting for this tear to come out, but it just wouldn't.
Squeezing it out.
Have I got one?
You in the eye.
Yeah, but that was because obviously I had this huge barrier up, and I've never been vulnerable properly in front of people before. However, I was extremely vulnerable, So in her saying that to me, just completely just floored me. I just couldn't believe that was how she interpreted me as, considering how vulnerable I'd just been in the room. It took me months. That was my coping strategy, and I couldn't show that anymore because I was just terrified of people not thinking that I was genuine, because that was one of the things I really prided myself upon being. And for months and months, I didn't want to crack a joke. I didn't want to laugh. I didn't want to.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm not joking. It put me into a huge depression, and I just felt so down. I used to feel anxious going to the group because I used to think, oh my God, people probably just thinking whatever she, when I'm sharing my vulnerabilities, I think they might not think I'm genuine here, so it didn't feel safe to share as much.
And before you go on with that, though, go on. I don't mean go on. I mean, before you carry on with that, is what a great therapist I am. Before you go on,
keep chatting on.
I imagine there's lots of listeners who have done exactly that same thing, who have had some feedback off somebody, and it's really not sat with who they're showing up or they feel that they're showing up as, and actually really bothered them and probably sent them into those very same kind of feelings and that depression that you're talking about, and that kind of anxiety about then what you put out to the world and watching what you do and watching what other people are looking at you for, right?
Absolutely. And the thing is, she said, I think this about you, I think that about you, rather than saying I feel like this around you and I feel like this around you, because actually she had a problem with my humour, because if she smiled, her face would crack. I'm joking. I'm just kidding. But humour wasn't a part of her life, and very, very serious person, and couldn't understand how I could share something about myself and 2 minutes later laugh. You know what I mean? And everybody's different, and we all experience things differently, but that really, really knocked me, and it took me a while to get back to my humour and being my true self again. And I think it's really hard about when we talk about the environment that we're in and the people we're around, you know, that I felt like that was pretty unsafe for me.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't nice.
And I think that, like, and I want to tell you this story, but we were talking about, you know, we have other jobs as well. So I was talking to the team about a funny thing that happened to me when I was younger. Lots of funny things have happened to me when I was younger, you know. Once I got licked on the eyelids. I got bundled into the back of a van and pinned down and my eyelids licked, by 2 girls. I know, you look really shocked. I've just brought the whole podcast community down, haven't I? Yeah, well, anyway, that's what the people say.
Dog or something.
I know. And to this day, I still sometimes see those people and think, why did you do that? Really strange. But we were talking about this is what we do in psychology. We talk about these funny things, right? Yeah. And we're talking about humour and laughing at yourself. And I was laughing and had everybody laughing because I was telling this story of, you know, like, I think it's okay for people to have a poo. I know it's a natural thing, right? But I can't shake it off. So from a young age, I was really paranoid.
You can't shake your poo. Go on, sorry.
Shake it up. So I was like really paranoid about having a poo and like reserve it for home life and not in school or anything. And I remember being in school and obviously an emergency cropped up and I went to cropped out.
Cropped out.
And I went to the loo and I did a number 2 and I was like, shit. Anyway, it was really not pleasant and I was clearly very ill or something. But then people came into the toilet and I thought, shit, I can't get out of the toilet. So I locked myself in there, but it went on for ages and they were still in there and they wouldn't come out like ages later. So guess what I did?
Oh, God.
I pretended to faint. I pretended to faint and draw more attention to myself from the smell that had just come out of my butt cheeks. And so what I'm saying to people is, with this, is you have got to laugh at yourself and things like that because ultimately, you know, life is hard, isn't it? So I've literally told you that story on purpose to make you laugh, but we were laughing about it in my team. And isn't it just like not taking yourself so seriously and laughing at shit like that?
Well, do you know, to be fair, there's, I mean, not my story, but somebody close to me won't go to the toilet at any public place whatsoever, right? And we must have been in like 6th form or something in school. And was desperate to go, so they had to run out of the school and they must have been running down some country lane and halfway home thought, oh my God, I'm shorty and everything don't stop. So they had to stop in a bush. Right? And after doing it, they were like, I'm going to wipe my backside with. They had to take their undies on, wipe the backside and bury them.
I mean, that poor person. I mean, it's mortifying, but this is the thing, isn't it? We often we're so uptight and so up our own bottoms that we can't really laugh at stuff. And I think, especially when we do the jobs that we do, and there's people out there who have really serious jobs, you know, really serious professional jobs. And actually, we need to be able to kind of bring some fun and humour into our lives, don't we?
I think what stops a lot of people from being able to not take themselves seriously, which again we will probably continuously mention this on various like forms, but I think it's shame and guilt and not having the ability to accept yourself with flaws and all. I think that's the biggest barrier, because a lot of people who I talk to tend to say, I sometimes feel fake when I'm around people and I'm not my real self, or I go really shy, or I do this and I do that. And I often ask, you know, what's underneath that? Why is that? And it's usually, you know, low self-esteem, low confidence and deep-rooted shame. Whereas if I show my true self, if I show my personality, people might not accept
but it's
me.
a vulnerability as well,
Huge
isn't it?
vulnerability,
you know, especially I always come from I know we come from lots of different angles, which is, you know, from a professional's perspective, we often view that if we bring humour or if we let our guard down, that people will think we're less of a leader or less of what we do, and then we kind of get quite stiff about it. And I remember an old manager of mine, she's not old, she was an old manager of mine, but she'd said to me, like, I don't know why people can't see what I can see in me. Do you know what I mean? And I presented to her so differently than to other people. She could see the fun, she could see the humour, she could see the sharpness of what I was saying from a humorous perspective. But then other people hated my guts because I was an absolute asshole to them. And I wasn't meaning to be an asshole, but I could not put my guard down in terms of when I was managing people. I couldn't put my guard down. I couldn't have a laugh because I always felt like people were waiting to try and trip me up or to say, oh, she's unprofessional, or she didn't do this. And I think there's really something powerful about when you find yourself in the world where I am right now, where I know that we're made up of different parts. I know that we respond and react differently to situations and people, and also we're human, you know, and we can't always be on our top game, and sometimes we're not even aware of that. But I think for me, we have to be aware enough to ensure that it comes into our life in some way, that there's no point burying your head in work and your relationship alone, or just your children, or just something else. We have to actually make time, and we have to be intentional.
Yeah, and we have to also make time where it's just for us. Taking off all the different masks that we wear on a daily basis, you know, being a parent, being a manager, you know, running your business or not, doing whatever it is that you're going about your daily business. And sometimes you've got to stop and say, how do I feel right now? What can I do to lift my energy? What people do I need to be around? And what do I need? Yeah. You know, I think a lot of us just kind of are like a rabbit in headlights, aren't we? And just continue on a daily basis, going from here, there and everywhere, doing your routines and not consciously putting or taking some time out to go, right, how can I reconnect now? How can I laugh? What can I do? Yeah. You know, I post on my social media every day, have you laughed today? Yeah. Because it's so important. Like you've got to find something to laugh at. No, not only that, you know, the science behind it. It releases some of your essential hormones for well-being. You know, if you are depressed and if you are anxious, then chances are you're not getting the recommended amount of hormones in your body: serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins, and I'll go into a bit more detail about that maybe at another time, but they're what we need. What happens is you end up with too much stress, which is cortisol. That disrupts your sleep. That disrupts all kinds of things, how you show up in the world, how you feel about yourself. You see the world based off how you feel. So if you're waking up every day and you're feeling rubbish, then you're going to see yourself as rubbish. It's going to impact your esteem, and you have to consciously do something to alter that. You have to consciously look at your life and think, where am I now? How do I feel now? What people do I need around me now? Yeah. You know? And
Jimmy Carr often, like in his book, and he's not a comedian for everybody, but I quite like him because he gives a good explanation of the differences with humour and what it's all about. But he says, like, if you wake up in the morning and the first 5 people that you come across are cunts, then usually you're the cunt. And actually there's something really in that, isn't there? Now, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person, but what it means is that how you're showing up, exactly what you said. What happens is then that's what we give off to the world. Then we have confirmation bias. See, look, the world is bad. See, look, I can't be happy because people are mean and people are kind of bad to me. And I think we all we all show up in different ways. I had some feedback on the weekend and it was really hard to take. So I'd not been well and I've not been like kind of really present, and somebody fed that back, and actually I really didn't want that person to feel that way, and they did. But you know what? You have to accept sometimes, and you have to kind of go, not jump to the defence and say, well, why are you saying that to me? Sometimes it's like, wow, okay, shit, I didn't realise that's how I was showing up, and apologise and kind of go, it wasn't my intention, and just own it, because actually you're not a big bad person. It's just that's come up, and just because I'm hurt that I've shown up in that way and I didn't intend to, doesn't make any difference. It doesn't mean then that that other person is to blame either. So I think we get really caught up, don't we, in our moments, and we don't sometimes realise how we're showing up.
Exactly that.
I think with clients, clients often come to me and they'll say things like, this person's a problem in my relationship, or this person's an issue. And then when we dig down, quite often what we find is that what that person's giving off, or what they're communicating, or how they're communicating is often really kind of important to what's happening within that dynamic.
Yeah, you tend to find that your outer world can be a reflection of your inner world. Yes, because relationships are like mirrors, aren't they? Yeah. And the people around us, we attract onto people's energies based off what frequency and what we're feeling inside of ourselves. Yeah. And if we have a belief system of, I am not fun, I am not this, I am not that, chances are that's the information
Yeah.
that's going to be fed back to you in your life. You get back what you put out there in a way, don't you? So
yeah, absolutely. And I think that, a lot of people will have heard of projection in the sense that, like, if I'm sat there feeling, that person's not happy with me, quite often it's us who doesn't feel happy in that situation, but we're not aware of it, so we'll project that it's the other person. And I think that's a really interesting psychology concept, because we do that. How often are we projecting onto other people our own feelings?
Yeah.
They don't like me, they're upset with me, and actually it's us.
Yeah.
And actually we don't have that insight, and I love it. It's amazing. But Sarah, it's hard, isn't it? It is. Personal development is hard.
It completely is. And sometimes if you are an anxious person, and especially if you're in a relationship and you're the type of person that'll go, are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? Are you okay? Stop. You're probably not feeling okay yourself. And ask yourself, am I okay?
Yeah.
Because chances are you're unsettled, you're anxious, some sort of need inside of you that you're not giving to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also as well, I think people can block themselves from having fun, and people can block themselves by having these high expectations and thinking in the mind, right, it's going to go this way and it's going to be that way, and and when it doesn't meet the expectation you have, there's this, see, I knew it wasn't going to go. I knew I wasn't going to, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't this.
Yeah, that's where the confirmation bias comes in.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll share information on confirmation bias, but it's that unconscious driver around finding evidence for something that we think or feel, whether that's positive or negative. We'll often back that up and look for signs to make that true and correct, because that's what fits with us, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a minefield, isn't it? There are so many kinds of routes we can go along in order to learn about ourselves and explore. But obviously today is about fun and laughter. And in talking about all of this, I want to talk a little bit about part of my work that I do, which obviously, I am a laughter yoga coach.
I do, because we did the training together.
We did do the training, yeah. And I'm not going to lie, that was one of the funniest moments that you and I, one of many, that you and I have had together when we were doing that laughter meditation lying down. I remember the back of my hair being soaking because the tears were just, tripping. Have you ever had that laugh where you just can't stop?
Yeah, I remember this well when we were and we were being asked to do animal noises, and then the more noises that everybody made, the more we laughed. Yeah, that way. And you know what? It was physically like that day when we came away from that training and those sessions, my body felt like it had done a workout, and I just felt like, I don't know what it was. It was just amazing. I remember it to this day as well. I mean, I was still miserable and didn't go on to do laughter yoga therapy, by the way, guys. That's why Sarah's our resident laughter yoga therapist, and not me, because I'm too mean. But go on.
No, well, what I really loved about it was, and this concept is great for people who don't have enough laughter in their lives. Yes. I really love, so I'll tell you a bit about it. So laughter yoga came about in the mid-90s by a GP called Dr. Madan Kataria. Now, obviously, you know this, but I'm saying it for our listeners. Dr. Madan Kataria, and he was a GP in Mumbai, and he was looking at ways to reduce stress in his patients. And he tried a number of things, and he came across the concept of laughter and how the brain doesn't understand or realise if you're laughing at something or if it's real or fake.
If it's fake or real,
real or fake. It just releases the hormones in the body, and it goes, oh, we're laughing, let's laugh. Yeah. And hence the reason where they're saying laughter is contagious. You don't actually have to be laughing at anything in particular. Once one person laughs, usually, it's a bit of a chain.
And just like, there's a big misconception, isn't there, with laughter yoga therapy, because it says yoga, people think that like it's some sort of exercise, but I know that you can kind of tell people about that, but I'm just popping that in there because straight away people are like, it doesn't make any sense to people, but yoga's just kind of like the breath work, isn't it?
It is,
stuff
like it's not like bendy Wendy, bend over and touch your toes or nothing, unless you want to. But imagine bending over, touching your toes while you're laughing. I reckon there'd be a few sounds coming out of
there, wouldn't there? But go on, tell us about your laughter yoga.
So anyway, so you can start off by, and I think people should try this, you can start off by just putting a huge smile on your face, right? Just literally faking it, putting a huge smile on your face. And if you hold that smile and hold your body for 30 seconds, you'll... I was looking at a camera waving. If you hold it for 30 seconds, your brain and body go, oh, we're smiling, and it'll release like the good feelings in your body. I can't see you seriously.
Is it 20 seconds yet? What do you do like someone like me though who's got tiny little teeth?
Just laugh at the teeth in the joke. No, yeah, I think you've got nice teeth.
No, they're nice, but they're tiny.
Do you think so?
I think so, yeah.
Mine are rather...
You've got shapely teeth now.
Have now the braces off. But yeah, so and then from there, what then you can tend to do is you can just fake a laugh, and you can there's different places in the body where we laugh from. You know, you can hum laugh, you can laugh from your chest, you can laugh from your gut. But you know, basically the concept is you laugh, and then everyone else cottons on, and there's other things that go on in the session. But I think even if you know, no matter where you are now, I dare you actually, if you're listening to this, to just laugh, right? Yeah. And it's good to make eye contact with people. So I don't even need to try with you because I just laugh anyway. But God, I laugh.
Beep beep.
But I'm going to get myself back.
Anyway, back on track. Listeners, if you're not laughing now, then I don't know what we can do.
Yeah, you need to come and have a session with me and Emma. But basically, it releases so many great hormones in your body, which you spoke about before. So a little bit about the hormones in your body.
Do you know what? Do you know what I'm thinking now? Like, so I've got that kind of bodily movement that loads of people will be able to understand. Like, have you ever stood in assembly when you're a kid and been laughing, and actually you're not allowed to laugh and you have to stay silent, so your shoulders are like going up and down, and you're trying to be like those places where you shouldn't laugh, and actually, you know, and you're holding it in, and it seems to make it like a lot worse.
It makes it even more. Yeah, it's that thing of when you don't do this and you want to do more.
Yeah. Don't think of an elephant. That sort of thing. Everyone's thinking of an elephant now. But yes, but actually, you know what was really powerful about it is, as I think you'll know this from your background and your work, is that how many times is it that we don't, you know, when we're a child, we laugh and we do things, permitted that we're having a good childhood, obviously. But then when we're an adult, that reduces significantly and we don't have that same thing. So when you do anything like laughter yoga therapy, or you kind of try to kind of work with people in that way, it can be really fucking awkward for them, can't it? Because they're not used to being silly, not used to doing it and going back into that space.
Yeah. Some of the research out there has suggested that children laugh around 300 times per day.
I knew you'd have that answer.
Of course. 300 times per day.
Mainly at their parents.
Yeah. And adults, 15 times, if that. You know? And I think that's shocking.
It's not enough.
I think we forgot how to be free. I think we forgot how to just switch our mind off and just be in the moment and just go with it and try and find things to laugh at. We forgot how to do it a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, I think the routines of, like, you know, I've well documented my kind of when I stopped drinking for 9 months a few years ago and how it was life-changing. And, you know, the way that I drink now is very, very differently. But back then, I'd spent years on that cycle of go to work, it's really busy, get work late, come home, have a bottle of wine, blah, 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 sinking into that deeper kind of depression, you know, and, you know, one bottle of wine became 1.5 bottles of wine and wake up, rinse, repeat. Do you know what I mean? And I think that where was the, you know, the intervention? Where did I then stop and say, let me go do something that's fun? I couldn't even think of anything that I would find fun. Whereas fast forward to now, I've got a list of things that I want to do and want to achieve in my life. You know, I want to go on a hot air balloon ride. I want to go on safari. I'd love to go to comedy every single month. I think sometimes what's held me back, I don't know whether you can relate to this or the listeners can, but I sometimes feel like I don't want to do it in case it's crap. Like, in case I'm going to let down, so I just don't do it anyway, in case I'm going to waste my money, or, you know, like that real, oh, I don't know if it's going to be enjoyable. But actually, sometimes we have to take those risks and do it anyway. Yes. And even if it is crap, it's still exposing yourself to those things that you think will really kind of make you enjoy your life, right?
What's that beautiful South song? Carry on regardless.
Yes.
Absolutely, you've definitely got him. I make fun even just going to, like, the Asda. Like, if I'm going to the Asda, especially with my sister, guaranteed she's getting a thong hung from her hood. Like, it's going to happen. Like, and she's
quite
going to
funny.
walk around as like that. But to be fair, she'd put a kid's hat on and a pair of kids' sunglasses on herself and walk around the shop like
Yeah,
that. So,
yeah.
or she'll go in the shoe aisle and find the most ridiculous pair of shoes and start catwalking up and down. It's just like silly people. You know, there are a lot of people out there that would think, oh, you absolutely fool, what are you doing? And that's fine, you know, you do your thing. But like, I just try and find fun in anything. And when I was talking before about like the laughter sessions and stuff, and I've mentioned twice now about the hormones in the body, I think I just want to mention a little bit briefly about what they are and why we need them.
Yeah.
Just so people can understand. So when we're laughing, it contracts our diaphragm and the core of our stomach. And actually, a laughter session can be the equivalent to something like 200 to 300 sit-ups, which is why you said your body was aching. So why not do it? Get laughing and just, contract the diaphragm.
Where do I sign up?
I know. Raw, ha, ha, ha. You know. So and what it does is it raises our heart rate. So then that produces endorphins. Endorphins are our body's natural pain reliever. And that's emotionally and physically. So if you can't find a reason to laugh, just do it for that. you know, it takes away some of our stress as well. You know, it's what endorphins do. Serotonin is our happy hormone. It's our feel-good hormone. It gives you a sense of well-being. You know, why would you not want that? There's other things that release this, of course. Dopamine is our motivation. It's our pleasure seeking. You know, it's the one that makes us feel great. You know, obviously there are other side effects of that too. And I'm briefly going over these like super quick, of course. And oxytocin is our love and social bonding hormone, making eye contact, hugs, being around people who make you feel, good. You know, so the laughing and being in a group of people and doing it together release all of your 4 essential hormones. When they're activated, it reduces the stress hormone cortisol. So it's going to reduce your stress. In doing that, that will then help improve sleep, improve your sense of overall well-being, make you feel a little bit better about yourself and your day, makes you feel more connected to yourself and others. It gives you more of a purpose to want to go out and do things. Like it's not just, oh, let's go and have a laugh.
No.
Go and have a laugh because of this.
Yeah. But, actually, the problem that I have with all of this
Go on.
is that... that laugh. She's always got a problem. No, but what I think is that a lot of people are with people and doing things that actually don't make them happy, and they're trying to make it fit. So you will never ever get those feelings if actually you're married to somebody that doesn't bring out the best in you and you don't bring out the best in them. You will never have that if you've got friends who criticise you, put you down, have things to say about bullshit stuff that's got nothing to do with them. And I think that we have to work on our environments and our people, and we have to understand, our families are our families. A lot of people come to me and say like they have issues with their parents, for example, and the parents sat on their shoulder, metaphorically, of course, kind of telling them what they can and can't do, or, oh, if I do that, what will my mum say? And I think we have to start to look at those things as people and start to go, we can love people and we can have people around us, but do we like ourselves when we're with that person? Do we like ourselves when we are in that environment? And if the answer's no, then actually that's where we need to be looking, because we're unlikely to get up and get motivated to go and do something if actually when we come home that's going to be what we're faced with, or when we go to that place like work, for example. Years and years of different workplaces I've had, and I love where I work now, and it feels like almost like when I reflect back on my past and think, why did I put myself in lots of these situations where I knew I wasn't happy? They were bringing out the worst in me. But that's about self-awareness, isn't it? And you can't know what you don't know. And that's why I think this podcast is really important to me, because I want people to not go the long way round like I did. And counselling training for me was this beginning, but I still had so many things that had to change even when I'd become qualified.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That was when the way it began. That was when the way it began. I think, to sum it up in a sentence, what you've just said, are you surrounded by mood hoovers or not?
Yes.
Innit?
Yes, exactly. And are you
a mood hoover?
That's what I was going to say. Because I know I can be. Because apparently last weekend I hoovered people's moods up. But it was because I was unwell. But actually I was so unaware of being unwell that I hadn't really understood that what I was giving out was like a different vibe, like a silent vibe, which wasn't like me. And I accepted it.
Sorry, everyone. So you were silent?
Apparently I was really withdrawn. Quiet? Yeah, really withdrawn. And I believe it. But isn't it weird? Because I didn't feel at the time like I was being being, but upon reflection recognised actually I was more ill than I thought I was. And it's sad, but actually the impact is it still makes the other people feel a certain way as well, and I think we have to accept that. But yes, it was a bit of a mood hoover. I apologise to the people who it was, and I love those people. And the thing is that it would never ever be my intention, because they're people that are very special to me, but also I'm a human being, and they understand that. And actually, in the past I would have felt really bad or gone really quite defensive about it, but actually this time I was like, oh shit, thanks for the feedback, and okay, and I think that helps me to process it a bit quicker. I cried for a few minutes and was like, and then I was like, but what are you going to do? Yes. What are you going to do? You can't take it back. You weren't angry. You weren't upset. Nothing had gone on. You were just unwell, and actually that showed up in that moment or in that period of time. And I think we have to go easy on ourselves sometimes. Not let ourselves off with bad behaviour, but ultimately also recognise when, sometimes we're not aware.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously, we're talking today about like fun and laughter, and that doesn't mean to say you can be full of the joys of spring every day or every week, can't you? Obviously, we all go through cycles, experiences, trauma. There's lots of things that we go through, of course, where laughter is the last thing you want to do, And I suppose what we're referring to here is, taking a step back, looking at your life as a whole. Yeah. And, right now in this moment might not be the right time, but moving forwards, what do you want to incorporate in your life, and how do you want your life to be? And what can you do that's within your remit today? It's more about that and evaluating and being aware of right now it is not the right time, but it is going to be put into my future somehow, some way of it,
And for listeners, I think that they will really relate to the fact that often we don't feel like we've got any control over our circumstances. And that's been one of the biggest learning points for me doing this personal development journey, is just how much control I have got over my day-to-day life. And I know that doesn't mean I don't get busy. It doesn't mean that I don't mess up or do things wrong or whatever. But what I mean is that I don't like something, right? Okay, I'm going to change that. Or do I want it to be different? I'm going to make it different. And once you unlock that part of your brain, it's so fucking powerful.
Oh my goodness.
Once you stop saying, but that's the way that it is, and we think and reframe it. And the problem that I have is that we, there you go, another problem, is that when people come to me for coaching, that's what we help them to do. So I help people to see, and this is Rich Litvin's saying is that I help people to see what they can't see from the angle that they're looking at it.
Yes.
And we help to reframe, and reframe is, can we look at this in a different way? Not to just be like toxic positivity and be, positive just for the sake of it and trying to put it out there to the world whilst crying in your own mirror. But ultimately, what do we do, and what do we need to change?
Absolutely. And you mentioned before, or did you mention before, we're made up of different parts?
Yeah,
did you say that? You did, yeah. And obviously we know that as configurations of self, but we can, refer to ourselves as made up of different parts. And sometimes people really struggle with accepting parts of what make them who they are, And when you're in a certain environment, you show this part of yourself, and when you're in another environment, you show that part. And when you're with someone who you trust and you feel safe with, you'll show your vulnerabilities, and so on and so forth. And I work with a lot of people, and I suppose I felt this myself as well, who struggled with their identity because they couldn't accept...
because it's all black and white. It's either I'm this or I'm that. Yeah.
And I can't accept myself as an angry person, because I can't be angry. And I can't accept myself as a fun person, because people might mock me and think that it's okay to make fun of me. And I can't accept myself as... And therefore... I can only be myself when I'm at home anxious with me, And I was like that. I grew up that way. And actually... it's important to go, no, I am all of that. I am all of those and more. And actually, if the part of yourself that is unable to let loose, not take yourself too seriously, have fun, laugh more, then look at that part and explore it and see if there's a way if you can connect with that part of you. It doesn't mean it's fake, and it doesn't mean it's false, and it doesn't mean it's not you and it's not real. It means you haven't explored it yet, and explore it, and what you focus on grows. What you give attention to, you will get more of. I
love a good saying. Well, I've got a friend who is an IFS practitioner, so that's internal family systems. So it's not family therapy, but it's about those different parts of you and how some parts want to keep you safe, some are your kind of younger self trying to keep you safe, and some need protecting and stuff. And it's a fascinating approach because it feels really strange strange. I've had a few sessions. It feels really strange when you're in it, but actually it makes a lot of sense that we've got these little gatekeepers inside us and little different managers, and obviously I'm not an expert in it, which is why I'm just going vague on it. But actually, that's a really important type of therapy because it helps us to unpick and understand there is a part of me that really wants to do that, but then there's also a part of me that wants to keep myself safe and wants to not feel the risks or not feel a certain way, right? And I think that when we can start to become self-aware about our bodies, our feelings and what's coming up for us in that moment, we can then do stuff about it. Because if we can kind of listen to ourselves, oh, what's this trying to tell me? Rather than it kind of be, we can then put it to bed and say, oh, thanks for the warning. It sounds really strange, doesn't it? But you might say, thanks for the warning, but I'm safe, I'm okay. I'm 44, I'm good, I've got this in the bag, and it's techniques. And the problem is that, in our world, we want to help people, but helping people, like, everyone knows what therapy is, and some people are for it and some people against it. Coaching has got a little bit of a stigma, and actually so people aren't sure, so then they just do nothing. And I just think even if people listening to this go and do a bit of research, look into something, then our job is worthwhile, because actually you don't have to sign up. You don't need a coach. You don't need a therapist. Often they are something that actually you could want. And if you had them, actually, it can be so supportive and so empowering to know that people have got your back, but it's not your family or your friends or your workplace. It's someone
impartial.
That's right.
Someone non-biased. And yeah, I hear you. We're not here to preach, oh, everyone should have therapy or coaching. However, I do believe that I know I will have coaching, supervision, therapy, some form of for the rest of my life.
That's right.
And we are, obviously, in order to be ethical in our profession, we have either coaching or.
Are you ethical?
Well, do you know, I am. Believe it or not. Most of the time.
No, you're right. And I think that is the thing, is it's a commitment for the rest of your life to making the most of your life, isn't it? Through personal development and self-awareness. Self-awareness is key. If you don't think, how many people, Sarah, think they're rocking up as like the loveliest person in the world, but they're actually a pain in the arse or they're an asshole. And I think that even if you're aware of yourself and you kind of go, no, I always say, like, I wouldn't marry me. I am a pain in the arse. And that's not me being derogatory. I cannot imagine having to deal or live with me. I am so fast-paced, so annoying, so unrelentless that I can't imagine what it must be like, but I'm okay with that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that I'm self-aware about it. I'm not trying to hide behind a mask of perfection or that I'm something else. And, there's flaws. And I think the minute we open our heart and minds up to being self-aware of what we really are and who we're really showing up as, that power is just immense. Yeah,
I literally was saying, or having this conversation just a couple of weeks ago, an honest conversation in my relationship where I was just like, listen, I am a pain in the arse. But then equally, aren't we all? Yeah. And the thing is, once you just accept yourself, flaws and all, and you think, I can be a messy cow sometimes. Other times I can be spotless, depending on my surroundings, depending on how busy my life is. I can be a bit defensive. I've got a little bit too much to say for myself sometimes. I can answer back now and then a little bit more, even probably when I shouldn't. But no one's perfect. And I think we all have this concept of other people are smashing life and they're doing this and they're doing that, and I therefore should present myself in this way. No, the moment you just accept yourself, I'm a pain in the arse. I laugh like a foghorn.
And you distort things. For anybody listening, she's been distorting this recording.
The microphone with me big foghorn laugh, so I was about that once. But I can be all of those things, but equally, I have a ball. I'm fun. I can be kind, I don't give too much of myself, but I give a lot of myself to others. I can be kind. And I feel like overall I can be good to be around most of the time, not all the time. And that's all right.
Yeah. It's that self-awareness, isn't it, that you're talking about?
It is.
So I think we're going to kind of bring today to a close. I think I've loved talking about today because it's really funny. But I guess what I'm always keen for listeners to understand is we know it's not that easy, that we're not suggesting that you just go out and start having a laugh and having fun. And what you made reference to it before, if people are deeply depressed, then no, I don't think that's going to happen. But what I hope is that people will say, well, there's something that we can do and actually start somewhere, right? Yeah. So the bit, just to summarise, I say to people, look at your environment, do a life inventory, and be purposeful and intentional with your fun or the things that you like that bring you joy. What would be your closing statement for people?
I would say, look at all the barriers that are preventing you from breaking free, from being free, from connecting with yourself and others, of course. But look at the barriers. What are the triggers? What are the judgments you're giving yourself?
Yeah.
What are the judgments that you're putting upon yourself, and the pressures and all the expectations that you're putting on yourself that are preventing you from being in the moment, having a laugh and creating a better life?
And that includes if you're around assholes. And that, as they say, is a wrap for episode 2. Join us next time.
Happy days. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.